Hey folks, what's up? Welcome back to another Paul Masters video, and today we are going to go over Sygna Suit Erika and Leafeon. So, Sygna Suit Erika and Leafeon, obviously fantastic unit, right? And one of the highest damaging grass type units in the game, along with, I'm pretty sure is the highest sync nuker in the game, or grass type nuker, right, as well. So really good unit, obviously, as you could tell. So let's get into the details then. So starting off, obviously her place, right, what you're gonna be using her for is one, her damage, her grass type damage, and two, her refreshable sun. Refreshable depending on how many copies you have, right? Because you don't get MP refresh on sun until 2 copies, right? If I remember correctly, yeah. You don't get MP refresh until like 2 out of 5. So there's that, right? So as for some of her strengths, very fast, right? Good speed here. You have extra X speed over here. You have speeding sun 3 over here. Like, should be very good for gauges overall. Which makes sense because you are using, you know, it's a 3 gauge move user, right? It's not a 4 gauge, but you know, it's still a 3 gauge, and a lot of people don't use her as your main damage dealer, which makes no sense because she like does more grass type damage than like any other grass type unit in this game except for Venusaur, right? But yeah, she should be your main grass type damage dealer. So yeah, it does help because you will most likely be running another damage dealer, right, on the team, because she sets Sun for other units, and again, she does a lot of damage herself. So fantastic team comps there. And yeah, the sync move has +1 crit in there, so don't have, as long as you max out crit, don't really have to worry about not critting, which is nice. And then increases when it's sunny, right? So make sure you do have sun up when you do use your sync, which a lot of times what I'd like to do is if you're just running Erika solo without like a Groudon or something, right? What I do like doing is actually using her trainer move without sun first, right? Use one trainer move without sun, because it gives you +2 attack and +1 crit, and then set sun, and then use another one, right? Which then gives you +4 attack and then +2 crit. Which, if you use one without sun and then one with sun, that maxes out your attack and crit, right? Which is again really nice, and it saves you a turn of sun, right? So you don't have to use sun turn 1. So just in case you want to kill some extra moves before your sync, you should be fine, right? Sun should still be up when you sync. So it's just a bit of a safety measure, gives you an extra turns of sun, right? Which is nice. Always nice to have. So anyways, going into the set over here. So in terms of lucky skill, obviously you want Crit Strike 2, again, one of the strongest grass type sync nukers in the game. Obviously you want, you know, Crit Strike 2 here, right? And yeah, in terms of I mean, I really wouldn't even try to go for like other lucky skills. Like, again, if you can't get Crit Strike 2, Crit Strike 1 is completely fine as well, right? But I really wouldn't go for, you know, many of the other offensive lucky skills, right? In terms of the grid, let's get into this. 1 out of 5 again. Like most 1 out of 5 units, just pick up like everything basically, except for like the move gauge refreshes. I mean, sure, if you want, but like it's not like that big of a deal. So basically that. 2 out of 5. You do have some good stuff. You do have the NPR over here, right? Solar Fill 5 extra 50% on your sync move, if again the sun is still up, which is, again, most of the time you should be able to keep that up, right? It's not hard to maintain or whatever. You can pick up a Solar Relay move gauge refresh over here. And then you do have super effective super duper effective one, which is not, you should probably go over here if you want to pick it up, which is not like bad to pick up, right? But obviously if you want something a bit more universal, you should probably just pick up the Solar Blade power-ups, because, you know, you can use Solar Blade, the power-ups, you know, even if you're hitting non-super effective, right? And this obviously has to be super effective. And then you can pick up some, you know, attack nodes over here and all that stuff. You don't really need MP refresh on your trainer move unless you're, you know, you're just doing it for Balvilla, but like outside of that, you generally don't really need it. You can pick some more like speed nodes here and there, and that should be nice, right? I'm not a huge fan of speedy entry. Not that it's like bad or whatever, but generally, if you're running Leafeon, you should probably just have someone to max out Leafeon's speed anyways, right? With a speed support, whether it be a Hilbert or Swana or whatever, right? Incineroar, etc. You should be looking to max out Leafeon's speed with support anyways. Obviously, you could do it with Leafeon's own X speed all, but I'm not a huge fan of doing that. You're just wasting too many turns not using the Solar Blade, right? It's just better to use support instead. All right. In terms of 3 out of 5, you have a lot more options. You have ramming speed up here, which is fantastic. You have inertia down here, which is great, right? So obviously those are the two big ones that you're looking to find, right? Again, not a fan of fast track. Like, it's good, but like, just bring out speed support, man. Just bring out speed support. It's good for your team anyways, right? So like, it's like a bad thing or whatever, right? Just bring a speed support. You could do healthy power up. Again, I'm not a huge fan because like it's 10% when your HP is full. If you take any damage, it's gone. So it's not like impossible to avoid damage or whatever, but I'm just not a huge fan. Obviously, if you need the NPR on Sunny Day, if it's a longer stage, you could do that. If you don't need it, then you don't need it, right? But generally, you're generally going for something like this, right? Yeah, both sync move power-ups. Oh, you could all... Oh, there's also Solar Filler 5 over here, I guess. Which in that case, it's probably a bit better to drop one of these. I forgot about Solar Filler 5. Yeah, Solar Filler 5 over here, which was just nice to have. Let's see. Yeah. That's probably a bit better. But yeah, you still have ramming speed, which is again great for Solar Blade damage. Then you have Solar Flare 5, Inertia, Sync. You got one of these Sync power up nodes, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter which one it is. And you have the NPR and Sunny, so basically you got everything over here, right? That you need, generally. And yeah, there are some other variations you go for, but generally, like, you don't want to stay too far away from this basic structure. Unless you're not syncing with Leafeon, which, why are you not syncing with Leafeon? Leafeon's, again, the strongest grass type sync nuker. Unless you're just not using him for like grass type battles, then like if you're not using Leafeon for like grass week stages and you're using like Leafeon to help like your fire type strikers or whatever else needs sun, right? There's mainly just fire type, right? In this case, I guess instead you could just be picking up these Solar Blade power up nodes, right? Over here instead, which is still fine, I guess. But yeah, not exactly super interesting overall. Actually pick up the speed plus 10 over here. But yeah, there's, I guess, some options, right? So moving on to some team comps. This is a fantastic team comp, right? Because you have Groudon over here, which Groudon already helps Erika set Sun, so you don't even have to use that Sun. Plus, it does extend your Sun, so you're basically guaranteed. You don't really have to worry about the not having Sun in sync almost at all, right? Hilbert over here helps max out speed. Also, could use his trainer move, which could save you a turn from using your trainer move, so it gives you an extra Solar Blade, right? Which is always nice. The slightly unfortunate thing is Maxi. Maxing out his special attack, because you only get like +2 over here, right? So you can't really max that out over there. But again, even with like +4 special attack, should be really good. If you are like really worried about that, instead of Hilbert's Hammeron, you could do the Sabrina Alakazam, right? Which in this case you could 6 Sense Maxi over here, and then it is a bit more gauge costly because you do have to use like 3 Reflects, right? To max out speed over here. And since Erika's setup is relatively quick, you will be using like a Solar Blade on turn 3. So turn 3 gauge management might be a bit of an issue, but you could definitely do this, right? This is obviously higher damage cap than what we could do instead, unless you really just want to or don't mind picking up the MP Refresh on his trainer move. But it's not that good because it's MP Refresh 2, not super reliable, and like you don't really want to spend 3 turns doing this, right, with your damage dealer. So there's that as well, right? But yeah, this is obviously a very powerful comp. What else? What else you could do over here is with Mr. Brennan Sceptile, right? You have the Sun up there for Brennan Sceptile as well. Then over here again, just have some speed buffer, which again, it could be Alakazam, it could be Hilbert, it could be, although I'm not a huge fan of using Alakazam here either, because you do need to use max gauges with Brendan Subtle on turn 1. But then I guess you could turn 1 instead, you could just buff crit, so that saves Brendan from buffing crit for a turn. You know what, now that I think about it, it makes sense. It's fine. So yeah, you could definitely do this. You could do Hilbert against Scott and Swan, or whatever that buffs speed, right? Because both these use speed. As ramming speed and inertia, she has ramming speed and inertia. Obviously only one unit should use inertia over here, which in this case generally should be Erika, unless you're just doing, you know, hyper offensive mass mode and you have like an EX Brendan for some reason, then like sure you could like have inertia up for Brendan. But otherwise, you probably want to sync with like your EX support first, and then go for like a big EX tech nuke second, depending on how long the stage is, right? For longer stages, shorter stages, probably just Brendan, right? So yeah, there's a lot of options here. Again, you could run her with fire type units, right? Something like a red Charizard, whatever. There's like a billion fire type units. I don't need to list them all, right? Red, Leon. A really great one is Hilda, because with Hilda, right, a lot of the previous fire type, a lot of the previous Sunsetters, like a Silver or McAin, they have to set Sun on sync, which isn't bad per se, but it just makes that you can't like really sync nuke. And the big thing about Hilda is Hilda has a really good sync nuke, right? And with Erika, you don't have to worry about that, because you don't have to sync with Erika to get Sun. You could just use your Sunny Day to get Sun, and obviously that doesn't cost a sync, right? And Erika is not Blaine, so you also don't have to bring Blaine on your team, which is, outside of Setting Sun, basically dead weight, right? I mean, if some stages you could like trap, do some damage, but like outside of that, Blaine is generally dead weight 90% of the time. So, you know, obviously much better than Blaine in this situation. Or Tech Ninetales. A lot of people like using Tech Ninetales. I think Tech Ninetales kind of sucks as well. So yeah, yeah, a lot of good options. A lot of good options where you could run Erika. Obviously, in this case, you probably want Hilbert a bit better, right? You could really set up, actually maybe Sabrina might be a bit better for Hilda, just because I mean with Hilda, like she could buff Hilda's speed, and then Hilda could turn the speed into turn the speed into physical attack, and then she could max out Hilda's, no, Sabrina's probably better, max out Hilda's attack anyways, right? And then you're giving speed for Erika, and then you have crit buffs for Hilda. But like the big thing that Sabrina does have over Hilbert is, since Hilda is a recoil user, not that her recoil's that bad, but sometimes it does stack up. And the great thing with Sabrina over here is you could just, you could just heal Hilda, right? With your Sixth Sense, right? If it ever gets dangerous or whatever. Another one, obviously, Lyra, very good here. Any Team Erika's on Lyra would be fantastic, because with the Sun, you already get Lyra's full buff, and Lyra's full buff is fantastic, right? It's +2 on attack, special attack, and speed. You get MP refresh on that. You can max out any unit's offensive stats, right? Speed, physical attack, special attack, and then Lyra obviously also maxes out crit as well, so Lyra's also a fantastic option for whatever team you're running Erika on. So anyways, that's me on this one. I guess hope you all enjoyed. You guys think in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, so more of them. I'll see you guys in the next one.